Hello again. This video is going to show you how to set up tables and especially some of the formatting features that are available through Word, which perhaps you haven't had a chance to explore before. I wrote a note that you were to save this Diet to report to your directory because we're going to make some additional changes to it at this time. Please navigate in that report to page 3 to the blank paragraph mark between the these guidelines sentence and the they emphasized paragraph. And once you're there, we're going to go to the Insert tab and we're going to choose the table button. Now when you do this and you've created tables before, I'm sure this one allows you to either draw a table or insert a table. You could manually say, okay, I'd like it to be, a certain size. But for this exercise, we're just going to practice randomly dragging over the cells to create it. And the size table that we're going to create is a 3 by 6. So you'll notice that as we create these, you get a little screen snapshot of what that particular table looks like to make sure that it's the size you want to begin with. The nice thing is you're able to update it when, if you create it and it's the wrong size, you can add columns and rows, delete columns and rows, those kinds of things. Now, for doing this, if you turn in your books, it'll be helpful because you can also see what we're creating visually in addition to just watching me doing it. So the information that we are going to enter is on the top of page 200 in the Word section of your book. So we're going to go ahead and create a 3 by 6 table, and now we're going to start adding some information in. Because I still have my paragraph symbols turned on, if you're finding these a little distracting, those are all the little kind of asterisk looking icons here, we can turn that off so they go away. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in food groups in this upper left corner. We're going to tab over to the second column and type daily recommendations. And you'll notice when I type in more information than what will fit with my in the cell size, the default cell size, it automatically wraps for us. And let's go ahead and add the rest of the information that you see on page top of 200. Oops, wrong line there. Okay, because where we place this table, right now we have one line of this by itself. We're going to be doing some changing now, so don't worry about that at all as far as that goes. Now, if you needed to add another row, there's a couple of different ways to do it. One way is to just keep pressing your tab to make that happen, or you'll notice that we now have, while we're working within our table, that we have two new tab buttons here under Table Tools, Design and Layout, and you could have also said I'd like to insert a row below, and that would add another one for you if you needed to add or had some additional information. And there we go. Okay, so we've got all of the information that we need on this. The first thing that we're going to do is we set it up where we had a third column here, and as it turns out, we don't need it. So to make that go away, on your Table Tools, Layout, and once again to do any changes using the ribbon for tables, you have to have your cursor somewhere within the table. And if you have your cursor, in this case in the column we want to delete, you'll notice that's an option for us. So having your cursor anywhere in the far right column would get that deleted for you. You can go ahead and delete that column. So now we just have two columns of information. Okay, and let's say we did this and we did a whoops, we meant to have a title for this entire table. table, okay? So just have your cursor in either cell here, and what we want to do is we want to insert, because it assumes we want a blank row. When I selected insert above, it automatically gave me that blank row. Now, for this, because it's going to be my title, I'd like to have my title stretched across this table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these cells, meaning it's going to be one giant cell instead of two separate cells. Now, if you do this and you change your mind, you can split cells, and that means that then it would once again break it into two cells, but we're okay with it being merged. We're going to type in the title for this, which is the USDA Food Pyramid Guidelines. And once I get that done, I would like to have this phrase centered within the title of my, that whole merged cell that we've created. And now we need to make it pretty, all right? So we've got all of our information in. And so when you come back here, you'll notice that you can choose between a bunch of different layouts. Now, the problem we're having here with how our table is, I think we're going to go ahead and let's add just a few enters to move the table down so that it's a little lower. Okay, and so that we can actually see these changes as we're practicing them. Okay, so I need to put my cursor back in so that I can go back into the design tab. And now when I mouse over, I can see that I get different views of what these different styles and layouts look like, and I can see if that's indeed a good fit for me. In this example, we are asked to use a specific one, so I'm just going to show you this, that they want us to use medium shading 1 accent 6, and they tell us it's 4th row, last column. And so when I mouse over here, I get that particular layout. Okay, so I'm going to select that, and it's quite beautiful, don't you think? Then what they want us to do is make a couple of changes. If you deselect banded rows, you see what that does is that takes away the option to see the different rows if you want to just have the information there. That's what that feature does. If I would like to have my table centered on the page, if I go to the Layout tab here, and I'm able to do a in the alignment piece, if I go to center, that's gonna, that does it cell by cell as I'm working with it. If I want it centered on the entire page, when I'm working with that, if I just come back, well, I do have it centered here. I'll find where that is just a moment here. Then I'm if we want to make any other kinds of changes, like, if I'd like this to be bolded, I can come back. That automatically is bolded for me, but if there are other pieces, maybe I want to bold these kind of subheadings, so to speak, I can just add those features in. That one is already bolded to help them stand out. Then when it's here, I can manually, do you see how there's that little cross arrow piece? If I select it, I can manually drag it to be where it wants to be. I can also resize it using the information, or that little square in the lower right corner, so that I can manually control where that is. And this, once again, because I have a particular cell selected, if I have the entire table selected, there we go, and I come here to center, then that exactly centers it for me the way I want it to be. So there is your crash course in tables, and you obviously will be creating some tables where you can practice this also. Save your changes to this practice report here. As always, be sure you're saving it into your student directory so that others can use it while you are working with it. And that takes care of